Shalom, shalom, shalom. Kohloyim Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalom and salutations to all you brothers out here that's pushing words of truth and sincerity. And shalom to all the Akim, elect Akim and Akwaf that's out here, scattered Israelites. Shalom, everyone willing and engaging in all the learnings and teachings and prophecies in these end times. Shalom. Early in the morning, bright and early on the Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom to all the brothers out here in the Akim and Akwaf, of course. So I was, laying upon, in on the bed thinking about, or I'll wake up early anyway, and I saw something that referenced this documentary right here. So I started to watch it. First episode. It's called Last Chance High, and it says here an update of the 2014 online series Last Chance High follows students at Chicago's Moses Montefiore Academy, a school for troubled youth on the city's most tumultuous west side. They are among the most at-risk youth in America, and many of them have been expelled from other schools. Montefiore provides them with one last chance at turning their lives around and avoiding trouble in their adult lives. So it's like it documents this school where these kids come in and, as you see, they got violent records and fights is breaking out, and the teachers struggle to maintain control. All right. It's like it's supposed to be a therapeutic school, and it's right in the heart of Chicago. And it's a pretty good watch. I only seen first episode. It's really engaging, especially dealing with what we do and, how we basically out and witnessing while we prophesying and standing on these corners. We witnessing who's out here, what's out here, what kind of Jake is out here, Then you got, of course, the jail systems where it's even worse. Then you got, juveniles, and you got schools, teachers witness what's going on daily with these young kids. And a lot of it really revolves around, as the topic's going into today, coming from a single parent household. Basically, first and foremost, what the scriptures say about honoring your parents. So, as you can see, yeah, this pretty much sums it up well. Matthews 19:19. Let me try to get out of the commentary section real quick. Matthews 19:19. In the KJV, I got a few notes down, so I'm gonna try to keep it nice and concise. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Words from Yahweh Shai, I believe. And in the parable of the rich young man, honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So, when we going into this topic, it's not to, cast no shame upon somebody, family member or your parents, that you got to look at your mother in a certain type of light because she was a single mother and she raised y'all. All right. It ain't, when you're watching this documentary, it's just to see the effects of what in the city, systemic oppression, and along with just all of these curses that's upon us, man. All right. The scriptures say, curses shall leave. So what we know about this truth is that there's curses. Matter of fact, there's one that right, Deuteronomy 28. I'll just read this real quick. Deuteronomy 28:45. And this is just a lesson that I came up with 2 hours ago. But the Spirit had me just wake up and do it. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. And when you watch, and learn about Chicago's inner city youth and this school here, Montefiore, you can feel it. If you ever lived in the heart of the city, you can feel it. If you ever been raised in the ghetto or single parent household, you know what it get when it gets crazy. Or you've been around people who from single parent household, they more at odds, man. They more like at risk is the word. At risk, But of course, the scripture said, honor thy father and mother. So it's not like you're going to take any of this out on your parents, but it's a well-studied topic. You feel me? It's a well-studied topic, and anyone who deals with children will tell you the effects of single parents, really single motherhood. You know, which is, as you can see, let me see, 1 out of 4. What is the percentage of people raised by single mothers? Of all parents, single parent families in the U.S., single parents mothers make up the majority. So mostly single parents is single mothers. We talk about a child being raised up. About 4 out of 10 children were born to unwed mothers. So that's 4 out of 10. Their mom's not married, basically. Nearly 2/3, which was never the situation back in the early 1900s. Kevin Samuels used to speak about that a lot. So-called black families were more married than so-called white families. So to continue, nearly 2/3, there go that 2/3 number, were born to mothers under the age of 30. Today, 1 in 4 children under the age of 18. So you got 1 in 4 children being born to a woman, single parent, under the age of 18. A total of about 13 million are being raised without a father. Okay, so this issue is one of many issues that affect our people. All right, so the scriptures do say about Tertius Cleveland. What did I have? Yeah, bear with me. Okay, it was Deuteronomy. Right, so with Deuteronomy 28:45. This is the reasons why this is happening to our people. Right? It said, till thou be destroyed, the curses shall pursue thee, come upon thee, and pursue thee, chase you down, and overtake you. Overtake, what does that mean? Catch up with and pass while traveling in the same direction. All right, it's like a pursuit, and then they pass it. So we constantly followed by these curses till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. All right. Now, my computer running real slow, by the way. So, trying to get that same one in Baruch. Baruch 1:20. Wherefore the evils cleaved unto us. The word cleave means let's pull that up real quick. Cleave. Make way through. Cleave. Stick fast to. Hold to. Adhere strongly. Become very strongly involved. Cleave. Okay. It's like to cling to something, to hold and stick to, be stuck to. All right, so that's what the curse is doing, cleaving unto us. Wherefore the evils cleaved or stick to us, unto us, and the curse, or evils and curse. Evils means bad times, even bad, even ill, which the Lord appointed by Moses, his servant, at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, to give us a land that floweth with milk and honey, like as it is this day. All right, moving forward. So the curses cleave unto us. That's what the scriptures say. That's why these is some of the issues that affect us coming from single parent households. We're gonna have to deal with some issues, right? There's a good chance that you got some type of behavioral, right? You picked it up along the way, and that's what this truth is all about, being renewed, the scriptures tell you. All right, so any major issue preventing your spiritual growth needs to be recognized and combated. So if you got these issues like how these kids had on the show, a lot of them had issues. They was trying to make the school like a therapeutic school so they could deal with the violence, they can deal with the the issues dealing with from systemic oppression, which caused single parent households, from single parent households. They're trying to help you with that, but you got to recognize it first, and then you got to combat it and know how to do it. Child ain't gonna know how to do it, but now that you become adult, really, it's your responsibility now to acknowledge it, not to be in denial about it. You got a behavioral issue, yo. Now you at the first step, acknowledging it. You're no longer in denial mode. If you got a anger issue, you got a wrath issue, you got a lack of drive issue, or whatever issue you done picked up from being this systemic oppression all these years and these curses cleaving unto us, as it says, right? It's your chance now to basically combat that through the scriptures, which is why you have teachers, which is why you have apostles, which is why you have camp leaders, which is why you have these people here, to guide you. Reading on, it says behavioral and emotional issues picked up when you were a child. When you go to Google and you learn about single parenthood, as by definition, single parent is a single mother is an unmarried female, aka single parent, who has little to no support from the child's father. In most cases, the father is completely removed from her and the child's life by choice or necessity, as he provides minimal, and he provides minimal financial support by choice. This article, aecf.org, says potential and emotional behavioral impact on children. Kids from single parent families are more likely to face emotional and behavioral challenges. So more likely, meaning you have a greater chance of having emotional and behavioral health challenges, meaning imbalances, like aggression and engaging in high risk behaviors. On the first episode of this Bad Boy School show called Last Chance High, they go to this dude house, Cortez. He want to fight. He told the cameras when he comes to school, before he gets to school, he looking to see who he gonna fight with. He know he want to get in a fight. And then when he finally met up with his mother and went to his house, his mom's got like four kids and she alone by herself. She dealing with her own issues, struggling, trying to, help them. He ain't got no chance from being taught or raised correctly. So he just gonna act out wherever he get to school. That's his way of, right, releasing, because he don't know how to act. He ain't been taught correctly. His mom can't teach him. So like aggression and engaging in high risk behaviors. Yeah, carrying a gun, 14 years old, smoking weed, 13 years old. All right, having sex, 12 years old. Why? Because that's gonna lead. When you young and you can't even care for yourself, let alone for another child. Bring a child into the world, and that completely stops your life. These are high risk behaviors, things that lead to felonies or dead in jail. It says when compared to peers raised by married parents. All right, so they always got to compare the single parent families with the married parents. And they see it over and over again. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Can a single mother raise a man? This is from today.com. Along with letting your child seek his own heroes and role models, there are things you can do to allow him to be male, whether or not you have a man around him to show him the ropes. Your son can grow up to be an emotionally healthy male, just as many boys of single moms have already done. And so the case is not for everybody, but it's very rare. These is facts. That is just rare for you to come out of a single mom household and your mom was afflicted. And you wasn't afflicted by not having no father around. You got to search for, as a child, search for a father figure. And 9 out of 10 times there's going to be somebody in the street who going to steer you into a life of crime or something. We know how these things go. So ultimately, you got these behavioral issues because more than likely it's something that you picked up being a single, right? Under a single mom. What is single mom stress syndrome? We didn't even know this was a real thing. Of course, these all go back to Baruch. These all go back to the curses in Deuteronomy 28, 15 on down. Wherefore the evils cleave to us in the curse which the Lord appointed by Moses, his servant, at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt. These are still cleaving unto us. The cleave means to hold on to strictly. So it makes sense that there's this hundreds of last chance high situations where it's full of kids who is troubled and at risk. Whole inner cities full of kids troubled and at risk, fighting in school, using drugs outside of school. high risk situations. A lot of them come from single mother homes. What is single mom stress syndrome? If parents aren't able to cope with the stress caused by single parenting, they run the risk of experiencing burnout. A lot of your parents got burnout. Your mom got burnout. You know, she tired, man. She had enough. She can't even sustain no more. You know, not being, not laughing at the situation is real. The reduction of fuel or substance to nothing through the use of combustion. Basically, a car burns out when they don't got no more fuel, or your mom burns out when she ain't got no more money, or they just fired her and she got all these kids and mouths to feed. She come home, it's problems. She ain't had no time to discipline nobody, and she just want to go to sleep. She tired. That's burnout. This is a common condition amongst single parents that often lead to increased anxiety, depression, and physical health issues. So how your mom gonna get you right when she already dealing with her own anxiety? So it's more than likely, if you coming from these type of households, your mom might have had that type of anxiety, depression, whether she told you or not. You just got fed. You was a kid. You ain't know what was going on. What do single mothers struggle with? There's emotional challenge that single mothers go through, a sense of loneliness and depression. They lonely and depressed, man. Real talk. That's why I was never meant for a woman to be alone like that, raising kids. Yeah, how the father would come home every day. That's how it was meant for it to be. Why is growing up with a single parent hard? This is just the studies that's done. Betterhealth.vic.gov.au. Apart from money issues, many single parents can experience difficulties when trying to manage all their roles and responsibilities as a single person household. Yes, nearly impossible for your moms or a single mother to get it right. Do both the man and the female, how what the father would do if he was in that house. It's nearly impossible. That's more than likely why your mom's had burnout, and she wasn't really in no situation to be trying to teach you how to be a man and take care of home responsibilities of being lonely, so forth and so on. Right? You got to deal with men coming in and out the house, man. You a young boy. You don't, we see it all the time. We see it all the time, man. Anybody who ever dated a single mother gonna know. We see it all the time. These young boys be like, yo, they don't know what to think. And they lash out, they act out. Maybe they want to say something, maybe they don't, but they act out. They be going through it. So ultimately, what the scriptures tell us to do, or tell us how to think, it tells us how to think, and the correct way to think is to put away childish things. Let's see if I can find 1 Corinthians 13:11. So that was when you was a child. So there's a lot of so-called childhood trauma, but the realness of it all is that you're not a child no more. Now you in a different mind frame where you have more control over, your situation. You ain't gotta. You can have understanding. You can gain understanding with all our get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. You can get wisdom now, right? You got a smartphone. You could watch these shows and convert and be healed, but you still might be in a childlike mind frame, which is contrary to spiritual mind. 1 Corinthians 13:11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. No kidding, because you a child, man. And that's what these kids is faced with, right? They trying to come into adolescence and adulthood, but they really their childhood be so traumatizing that they can't even see that they're going to grow out of it and get out of it. And it's just a moment in time. It's suffering for now. But, just like Israel, when we're dealing with these curses, a lot of our people think this is forever. And they give up. The lack of patience is basically giving up. A lack of hope is giving up. A lack of belief and faith is giving up. Essentially, for a man to lose his faith, he gave up. He doesn't have that passion anymore to strive for the truth under death. He don't want that. He don't want them problems. He feels like he rather deal with what comes, with being a non-believer and just have an easy life, or a lot of what people do on a day-to-day basis just to combat the evils that's cleaving unto us and the curses is they just choose to either ignore it, smile through it, laugh through it, or ignore it, or they just do certain drugs or whatever, crime or whatever. They turn to different lifestyles to. But the truth is that it's cleaving unto us. You can't. It's unshakable. We all going through it. Israelites, we all go through these curses from Deuteronomy 15 on down. 1 Corinthians 13 and 11, it continues. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. To put away childish things, that's the idea. Put away, right? Meaning you got to completely excommunicate from that idea and that thought process, that way of life. So if you was raised with this single mother added, and you that caused you to grab a attitude problem and you have behavioral issues, okay, you can say, yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, I came from that. Yeah, that's how I used to think. But now I understand, right? The scripture says, with all I get understanding. The scripture says, be not in men, be men in understanding, but in malice be children. Meaning, as have the understanding of a man, not as a child. You're no longer a child now. That's the idea. What that means is essentially you put off all the things that you might have suffered from when you was a kid. And we understand we can kind of pinpoint where we get certain things from. You get it from bad education systems. You get it from Esau ruling over you. You get it from all the said curses from Deuteronomy 15 on down. One of the main ones I'm emphasizing here today is single mother, because I was watching this documentary. Once again, Last Chance High, so go and check it out. I only seen episode 1. It's pretty good so far. So you put away childish things, okay? So if you're raised by a single mother or without your biological father, because many times in these dual households, even with just a stepfather, the stepfather really can't do much. You might be in a situation with a mom, you got a stephouse, but your mom don't allow him to raise you like he would raise his own son. If that man ever lay a finger on you, even if you incorrect, she'll let him go. So that's really what it is. A lot of stepfathers can't even step up, really. So you got to stop what you're doing if you was raised in that situation, and you got to even consider that you might be having a little physical, psychological, spiritual breakdown where you got to evaluate that so you can move forward. Once again, you might still be in your childlike mind reasoning. Thought as a child, aka reason as a child. Your ideas, the way you formulate ideas, the way you formulate sentences, not so as much what how you speak, but your thought process. Your thought process is governed by a childlike mind. The mind of when people used to pick on you as a kid, and the mind when you ain't have no money to grab this, or they used to make fun of your shoes. Your whole mind is still, your whole psyche, your soul is still bombarded by the ideas of thinking like when you was size 6 in the shoes, man. That's why they say act your age, not your shoe size. It's real, man. You got, it's a mind. The scriptures say renewed in the mind. Your mind, and I'm gonna get into that next. Your mind, your worldview, the way you look at things actually shifts. If you never had that shift, you still under the vibration of your mama and your auntie and all of these people who raised you. And they never raised you to be a man. They continue to raise you to be a boy. They themselves couldn't keep a man. They themselves don't understand the mind frame, the mindset of a man. And your stepdaddy might not have been at an advantage to be able to really put you on game like that, because your mama was on him like that. Once again, why is growing up with a single parent hard is the article. These countries are doing studies on it. This is a whole nother country. I think it's Australia, VIC. Why they doing articles on why growing up with a single parent is hard. The countries have already studied and formulated and came to conclusions that single parent households ruin families, period, ruin generations. That is a curse. And it is 1 out of 4 children in the United States, man. Who you think majority of those are? Jake, Negro, Latino, and Native American. So this is an overwhelming curse that is involved with our people in particular, presenting all types of challenges for schools, right? For citizens, because all of these unruly kids out here, just you can see them when they get off of school, man. pants down to their ankles and whatnot. It says this can be particularly challenging for those parenting with a child with special needs. Okay. So I got here, right? More importantly, you honor your father. This ain't to go back and be mad at your mom. Your mom's ain't had no choice. You know what I mean? The choices that she made were the choices that led to that situation, of course, but hey, there's an overwhelming majority of our people in this situation. We understand that Satan's devices is out here. So Satan uses the so-called white men to set up systemic oppression and even further it. Watch when this MOTB comes out. All right. So just a few articles that point, proving these points. Instability, a lot of it comes from your childhood, but you have the advantage now being a man coming into an understanding to now not reason as a child anymore, but reason as an adult. You're no longer a child. If you're 14 years old watching this, I can understand. You 12, actually the scriptures say 12 and up, you become a man, but you're still young. Shit, you're still young. You're still thinking like a child. But eventually, man, you want to shake out that child out of you, right? So, can you be stable from a single mom? Yeah, but it's rare. Single mom stress syndrome, all of these negative effects that we speaking about, that we reading about, these is real. Negative effects of single parenting from momjunction.com. Financial troubles. Most single parents work long hours to meet financial needs of the family. Low parenting quality. Single mother can't do what a two-parent household could do. Come on, everybody know that. Now you got grandparents and uncles and aunts on your dad's side. You ain't never even gonna really know. Children, after a divorce, it goes into emotional problems, loneliness, adjustment difficulties. All of these things can affect you, right, in the long run. But once again, you have the advantage now. You are an adult. You're no longer in that situation. So ways to combat the behavioral issues is to make a conscious effort in putting off the old man for the new, aka replacing bad habits with good ones. And this is what leads us to the book of Ephesians. Ephesians 4 and 22. Ephesians 4 and 22 in the KJV, that ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to deceitful lusts. Get the whole chapter. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind. So first step, put off concerning the former conversation, the old man. Put it off, cut it off, which is corrupt according to deceitful lust, right? The old ideas, the old way of what the word say, reasoning. Your old reasoning was deceitful and it was corrupted. You got to put it off. You got to cast it off and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Renewed, by the way, it means reestablished, revived, or resumed. Now you're getting back to your correct way of thinking. Your whole way of thinking could have been an error. More than likely it was, because you had to be renewed. You had to be born again to come into this truth. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which after Yahweh is created in righteousness and true holiness. And then unless you put on off the old man, you can't put on the new man. And then you got to make sure that that man is completely off. That's a cutoff to put off. But be renewing is a process. Real quick, let's grab that in the NLT. Real quick. Ephesians 4 and 22. Throw off your old sinful nature in the former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Renew your thoughts and attitudes. Let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Right? Reasoning as a man now, not as a child. Put on your new nature, created to be like Yahweh, truly righteous and holy. That's the new nature. Put that on. Put off the former sinful man. Put on new nature. That's it. Just like you change clothes, you don't think nothing of it. You don't think nothing of taking them sweaty, old, nasty, stank clothes off. You don't think nothing about washing your body when you smell it. You shouldn't think nothing about putting on the new man, which is created to be like Yahweh, truly righteous and holy. And what is that? How your mind operates. Let the spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. All right. So being in the truth involves taking action. That action is being taken daily to put off the old man, sinful man, to put on and be renewed by the spirit, your thoughts. It starts with your mind. It all revolves around what comes to your mind, right? And so one of them way to combat the bad behavior, one of the ways that came to mind, and I'm just gonna read through now. I'm just gonna read through now off of what the notes I already have. It says, I have here 1 John 3:14. We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death. So one of the first steps that, even the young dudes was talking about, that he just want to go in and fight people. When you acting out, when you lashing out, your first response is to tear somebody else up. See, the curses in your mind, your idea is to mess with somebody else that don't got nothing to do with your issues. You understand? You want to push the vibration of hate. That's why we know when somebody walking in the flesh, because they want to mess with people. They don't want to just, deal with it themselves. They want to really mess with people. But the scriptures say we know that you pass from death unto life, meaning you renewed now in your thinking, because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death. So as we read earlier in Matthew 19:19, the Lord made it known and clear, honor thy father and mother, and do unto thy neighbor as unto thyself. So you have to show love, right? And the word here that's going to carry on is agape, and this is one of the ways you take action, in renewing your thoughts. You actively learning to put off that hatred spirit for that love spirit of the brethren, of the brotherhood. One of the most stable attributes you can have is unfeigned love for one another. Unfeigned means without hypocrisy. The word agape is used for that word in John 3:14, or John. And agape in the Greek means love with the accusative of the person, which means it's dealing with another person. So your love is not shown necessarily to yourself or within yourself, but it's communicated outwardly to somebody else. And it says to have a preference for, wish well to, regard the welfare of, meaning you're concerned about somebody else. So what the flesh wants you to do is misbehave towards other people, hurt people, harm people, so forth and so on. With the love, the opposite of that is going to be you have a preference, you wishing well, you regarding their welfare, you trying to care for that person. Kind of like this Jake, he kind of trying to care for the young Jake here in the picture, as you can see in the, he's showing love to him. It goes on to say, and elsewhere used often in the first epistle of John, the love of Christians toward one another. We know the Christians, Israelites, they was first called Christians at Antioch. So Israelites got love for one another. It says, of the benevolence which Yahweh in providing salvation for men has exhibited by sending his son to them and giving him up to his death. So that was an action that the Father did by sending his son to be crucified for the sins of Israel. And so now you see that same type of love is exemplified amongst the flock. Brothers literally have regard the welfare of each other. We take care of each other on so many levels. We do, and mainly and especially when we teach it, edifying, correcting, disciplining, from the higher ups on down, starting with the apostles on down. And guess what? The scriptures emphasize that there's a different type of love that you will have for somebody that's above you than you have for somebody that's on your equal level. Because the idea is that, you try to love everybody the same. You have to know the difference between, right? It says, when used of love to a master, Yahweh or Yahweh Shai, the word involves the idea of affectionate reverence. See, the difference is now you're revering somebody who's of a master or above you, meaning a teacher or your camp leader or your elders or, the apostles. they're above you. The Father is above Yahweh Shai. When you, that's a still agape, but it's a different attitude. Meaning, it's the idea now. It's affectionate reverence. Meaning, reverence actually means to fear. There's an appropriate fear that you have of these of offending these men or of misbehaving, and it goes on. Prompt obedience, meaning like quick obedience. Like when certain men tell you what to do, who are up over you, who lead or rule over you. These men are here for a reason. Just like your teacher, just like the teacher, he gonna listen to the teacher quicker than he gonna listen to a student or somebody his age. You gonna listen to an elder quicker than you gonna listen to somebody your age. And that's the idea. That's the concept here, is that, you know, when it's somebody over you, it involves, you have to have reverence. Look that up, study that, understand this is a different quality in action. Reverence. You having reverence here. You don't reverence your friends like you do your mother. You don't reverence your friend like you do your father. You know, there's a different level there. You don't reverence the father like you do Esau. You don't reverence Esau at all. Either way, prompt obedience, meaning quick to be obedient, to listen to what somebody is telling you to do. Obedience. Listen to what the order and the directive is from men above you. That's having love. That's showing love. Grateful recognition of benefits received, meaning you thankful for the benefits that you getting, and what these men are in a higher lot than you are set up to rule over you, to watch for your souls. You're grateful. You're grateful of that, and you behave in a certain way, and you conduct yourself in a way in which to say that, yo, I'm grateful for that. You know, but that's how your mind is renewed. That's how you change. That's how you actually show love to somebody up above you and to somebody on your equal. The scripture again, it says to have preference for somebody, to wish well to somebody, to regard the welfare of someone. Right? That's how you have love towards each other. Hebrews 1:9 said, that has loved righteousness, that is agape again, and hated iniquity. Therefore, Yahweh, even our power, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. And when you're doing this, when you're properly renewing your mind, when you're putting off the sinful nature that's corrupted, you're putting on the good, you know, so-called quote unquote good man. What does it have to say here? It says put on the new nature created by Yahweh, truly righteous and holy. When you're doing that, the Lord anoints you with the oil of gladness. Right? There's a lot of, you know, thanks that comes along, but there's a lot of gratitude you're able to receive now because you have understanding. And don't matter if you was raised with all of these, you know, single mother, you know, behavioral issues as a kid, and you used to be all psychotic and messed up, and you know, because your mom's was messed up and she dealing with depression and passed down to you and generational trauma and all of this, bro. You could rise above that through the spirit because you understand now. It's really the evils that's cleaving under us. This ain't nothing. It's nothing personal, but but it's on a larger level. It's our people that made a contract with the covenant with the Lord, and we went against that. So now we got these evil cleaving into us wherever we go, even in our captivity unto this day. However, you know, the Lord allowed us to have a outlet, and that outlet, there it goes. That outlet is that we have each other, that we have the body, that we have this word, that we have correction, that we have men over us to rule over us. All right. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have this favor. When somebody shows you favor and you can show it back, it's a good thing. It's reciprocated. It don't remind you of how you was raised as a single parent. It don't remind you of how when you was angry and mad. Hebrews 12:6 says, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Now you understand why you're going through what you're going through. That's understanding. That's what a new man has and provides for you. You can be grateful for that. You have the understanding. Now that when you go through your situation, you don't look at it the same way. You don't beat yourself up. You ain't all confused. This kid's confused at what's going on in his world because he can't make sense if he's still a child. The older man, he probably went through the same thing, but he's telling them, look, yo, you know, eventually you become a man and you don't got to look at it the way you do. But right now you're going through, you're a child, you don't make no sense of it. There's a difference there. But whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. If you understand that chastening that the Lord is sending to our people is really love. We can't make no sense of a lot of our people, whether they adults or children, because they still in childlike mind. James 1:12 said, "Blessed is the man that endure temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life which the Lord hath promised to them that love him." The crown of life is what we're trying to receive, meaning there's an ending to this. There's a process in which you got to go through certain tribulations and sad perils and troubles, and which we get into all the time through prophecy, hour of temptations, Jacob's trouble, concentration camps, right? World War III, end time apocalyptic scenarios, famines, pestilences, diseases, right? Beasts, wild beasts, apparitions, right? Destruction, the downfall of a society that we're living through right now, the great downfall of Babylon the Great. These is all going to happen in our lifetime. These are happening now. This is prophesied. But what's also prophesied is that we get the kingdom. We get the glory and the honor once the Father sends the Son back. Once the Son gets his, then we get ours. The Lord said, the scriptures tell you that you shall be changed like him and made like him. So the Lord's going to take us out of these bodies. We're going to be renewed for real, right? The new covenants let you know that the laws are going to be written in our inward parts. So the reason why we pray being persecuted in this first place, because we sinned against the Father, right? We sinned against him. The reason why we being persecuted is for a reason. The Lord is just and is holy, right? And so eventually he promised that we will be sinless, all right? We will be perfect forever, eternally. So we not to be too wrapped up over why we can't, why everything ain't working us, life ain't fair, so forth and so on. Well, guess what? Deal with it. Now you have the understanding that you get. And when you endure temptation, you're blessed. Why? Because there's a crown of life that they're going to receive, but it's only for those that endure it. Meaning there's a way to fall to this temptation. There's a way to give up on what the Lord promised you, which is not hearkening to the word, which is not believing, which is turning your back on the prophecies, turning your back on the prophets, mocking, scorning, laughing at what you're hearing coming out of the lips of the prophets. James 2:5-8 says, "Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not the Yahweh chosen the poor of this world rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him?" That is a great, beautiful statement that is given for our ears and our listening pleasure, so to speak, for our faith, as a faith building scripture, letting us know that whatever condition we're in, especially the condition of being poor, who are the Israelites. We're the ones that's dropping out of schools. We're the one that's dealing with violence in our communities. We're the ones that's being exploited by the enemy and the enemies of our own people. That's us. But if you're rich in faith, no matter how poor you are in this world, in this kingdom, if you're rich in faith, you are understand you're the heir of the kingdom that's promised to you, to them that love him. It's promised to us. We got to keep that love affair that we have with the Father and the Son through the Holy Spirit. We got to keep being renewed daily. We have to keep sustaining in our faith and the belief. We got to walk that walk. We talking it. We got to walk that walk, and we got to deal with the curses. We got to deal with the trauma. We got to deal with the individual issues going on. We got to deal with the your mind the old man trying to constantly pursue you and get you back into that childlike state of mind when everything was confusing. This is Babylon, mystery Babylon. Things are supposed to be confusing to the unlearned. But when you have this truth, you can see it before it comes, man. Satan has devices. Scriptures tell you, be not ignorant of Satan's devices. You're supposed to see it. All right. The preeminence is what you have. I mean, you can see it before it comes. The Lord gives you that ability. That's like the prudent man perceived the evil and hideth himself, right? Verse 8 says, "If ye fulfill the royal law according to the scriptures, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, ye do well." So in doing well and waiting for the Lord to return, in that wait, in that patience that we possess in our souls with, we also acting upon the love that the Lord showed to us when he sent the Son. We acted upon that by showing benevolence and good favor and goodwill and towards our brothers. That's also fighting and waiting upon the promise. See, we all coming back waiting upon the promise. So you're not supposed to come back filthy garments. You're not supposed to come back unrenewed. You're not supposed to come back acting like a heathen. You're not supposed to return with all of these single mother negative attributes that you learned, having emotional and behavioral issues and challenges. You're supposed to slowly and surely work that out, man, because you ain't no child no more. And that's the key to it, man. You ain't gotta submit to the old way of thinking no more. Your thoughts, your way of thinking is the first thing that you change upon returning back to the fold. It's the first portion of the fight that you fight against Satan, the adversary, the tempter. And the scriptures tell you, he that resists the devil shall, resist the devil and he shall flee from you. All right. So it's just like a bully. A bully only mess with the ones that he know actually got, weak points and emotional issues and behavior. Once you don't react to the bully, once you don't react to it, you really pretty much stop. Well, Satan ain't no different. His job is to test you. When he tests you, eventually that test, if you pass, you pass or you fail, just like a regular test. And guess what? We just read it. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. To endure means to go through it. You went through your trial. The trial is the temptation. The temptation is something to do wrong, something to sin, something that causes you to go back to the old man, that old way of thinking, that childlike mentality that's not profitable. It's cursed. It's ruined. It's you become controlled by your lust, by the flesh, become worldly, you become heathenistic. Ready to fight, ready to kill, ready to do harm to your brother instead of uplifting them, carrying them, helping them. 1 Peter 1:22, seeing ye have purified your souls and obeying the truth through the Spirit unto unfeigned love of the brethren. That's a purification process that your soul is going through right now and combating and fighting this world and the ways of this world, which is anti-Messiah, anti-Christ world, anti-belief world, anti-faith world, anti-obedience world. You obey the truth. The truth calls for you to love your brothers as your neighbor. The truth calls for you to honor those who have rule over you. The truth calls for you to be renewed and act upon that process of making sure that you're renewed. Examine ourselves daily. You have to check yourself. Seeing ye have purified your souls and obeying the truth through the spirit of unfeigned love of the brethren. See that ye love one another with a pure heart fervently. And once again, unfeigned me without hypocrisy. You can't be a hypocrite. You really got to soul search and dig. All of that got to be cleansed up and purified. See, the purification process don't just stop in the middle of it. You ain't going to drink that water if it's halfway purified. I pass you a cup of halfway purified water. You're going to smack it out my hands. Or you'll just politely deny it if you kind like that. You know what I'm saying? You might just smack it out my hands and cuss me out. Regardless, man. You're not going to take that unpure water. With that purification process got to work all the way through. So if you're still dealing with some psychological traumas and not to speak light of it, it's real. But what it is that you're supposed to be renewing. You're supposed to be working on that. You're supposed to be remodeling. You become the longer you in here, you become you begin to be somebody that other men look up to, and and now you gotta, you ain't no really room for messing up. And we all fall short. The scriptures tell you about that. Is it gonna happen? Hell yeah. We're gonna through the spirits, and but we all fall short, and but a righteous man falleth 7 times and get back up. So some fall out, some fall short, some get back up. All right. Many are called, few are chosen. We still in the same stead. We still, you get back on. You fall into resume the role, and then you march fervently, and you have that pure heart, fervent love for one another. Once again, that word agape going into regarding the welfare of, to wish well, right? To have preference for somebody, like you prefer the brothers over the world, the people in the world. You prefer spiritual brothers over worldly brothers. You understand? But the Lord speaks about that. That's a part of the purification of your souls in obeying the truth through the spirit of unfeigned love of the brethren. 1 Peter 2:17, 3 more, and I'm going to close it. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear Yahweh, honor the king. Beautiful. 1 John 2:10 and 15. He that loveth his brother abideth in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him. You're not going to put a stumbling block in front of your brother. That's a no-no. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So contrary to, the love that you show for your brothers, you're not loving the world that way. What that means is your love just don't go around to everybody. I just love everybody, and everybody need this. Is no Rodney King. Can we all just get along spirit? You're not working on that childlike mind frame. You learned that as a child. Everybody, the world peace. World peace ain't going to come until the Father sends back his son to get his back. There's some get back that got to happen. The scriptures talk about recompense, payback, tribulations to those that trouble you. So that got to happen. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Retribution going to happen. The scripture said they shall pay double. Right. So it's all type of, guess what? Killing, killing's going to happen. Righteous killing, righteousness involves persecuting the evil out and purging the evil man out. Right. So they're saying about everybody and everybody, you got to learn how to love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. And that's a daily fight. That's why you renewed. Renew is a process. To cut off is a consummate action. It's just boom. That's the end of it. It's done. But to renew, that means you're working. That says daily. You're working on it daily. You're progressing. You're getting better, right? You're growing in grace. That's renewed. So the process, don't worry about if you're not at a certain point yet where everybody else at. You're renewing. Work on yourself, man. If I have 15 years of basketball practice and you just get out there for the first time out there, you're not going to do what I do on the court. You're not. All right. But in due time, you would if you kept at it. That's what this truth is like. Right? You stumble, you get back up. Verse 15, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So you do not believe the soul saying, man, I love everybody. I love every single, everyone in God. Nah, that ain't true, bro. You even know the name. 1 John 5:2. By this we know that we love the children of Yahweh when we love Yahweh and keep his commandments. And is one of the commandments to honor our, father and our mother, of course, and then do unto thy neighbor as I will do unto thyself. All right. So that's an action, man. You take the first steps, and that's how we do. That's how we build. That's why this thing is building faster than you ever seen. That's why so many adversaries now popping up out of the woodworks, man. Edomites you ain't never seen wouldn't stop them to give you a cup of water they wouldn't piss on you if you was in flames, man. And now they coming to the conclusion, well, the Hebrew Israelite movement is the worst thing, and they don't love Christ and all of this, man. I can go on with that. You're right. We don't love Christ. We love Yahweh Shah, the correct, true name of the Lord and his son, and who we prepared to meet. Abaratazah at his coming, we're going to be made perfect in taking up on those ships. We have the understanding. We don't need the enemy to try to teach us. Y'all not over us no more. All right. In the flesh, y'all over us. In the spirit, you not. Okay. So just, y'all go somewhere and play, man. But the Lord is working on his elect daily. They being renewed. They having more faith and understanding. They not in that childlike state of mind no more. And the more brothers can adapt and learn how to change and learn how to manipulate basically the old man, get him the hell up out of here, the better off you're going to be on a day-to-day basis. I brought this out. This video was edifying. Leave it here till next time. Shalom. Peace to all the brothers Aki and Akwaf out here. And conclusion DTA. Blah, blah, blah. Shalom.